I'm here together with my fantastic filmer Chica Kovac, and I'm also here with my fantastic good friend Pat McGrew at the HP PreDrupa event in Indianapolis. So good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, it's always good to be here.
Are you here for the entire show plus D-Scoop, or are you just here for the
No,
analyst?
I'm only here for the analyst event.
Okay. And as I said also when we spoke to Marcus from HP Germany, we can actually not talk about anything we've been hearing today because this is still under embargo.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the trends, because I mean, you have been working for both Keypoint Intelligence, you work for HP, and you have a lot of knowledge also as an analyst in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they're good listening to the customers and the needs and where they're going?
So I just came from an event with 167 print professionals, right? And then I came here. So I spend time listening to them. What are they talking about? What's really important to them? Mm-hmm. There is an interesting dovetail. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of what I heard at the front half of this week is being addressed by what we've heard here today. Mm-hmm. And after embargo, we'll be able to talk about a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But the big themes, right? Yeah, we can buy the fastest press possible, but if I can't get the work to the press, that doesn't help me. Workflow, very important. Yeah. Everybody wants to talk about AI, but they don't realize they've had it for years.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned this, because when I look a little bit back on the narrative of speed, for example, right? It's the same narrative that the offset printing companies had for years, right? And the problem is that you have the OEE, you have the utilization, you have all those kind of things. And actually, one of the questions at the press meeting here was basically asked by one of our colleagues, I can't remember who, asking the questions, but how do we get more work into the industry, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that the foundations are already there, right? There are amazing workflow tools, and there is amazing analog and digital equipment that is capable of working together to get amazing amounts of work out into the hands of brands and the consumers that want them. But just because we can do it doesn't mean we are doing it. And I think today we still have too much print waste, and we haven't really resolved as much of that. A lot of that can be taken care of with much smarter workflows, and we haven't really dealt with that yet.
I totally agree with you. There's one thing where I think that sometimes that is missed in these kind of conversations, not between you and us, but in general. And that is that as a print buyer, because there was given an example of if you want to print 1 million books, the price per copy is of course low, right? But if you chip 40% of the circulation, you of course have to take that price to have the right price about it. But I can't help think about that the difference between analog production cost and digital production cost, if you compare volume to volume, is still quite radical, right? Do you think that is one of the issues that we as an industry has not been good enough of, let's say, training our customers to understand that we can also bring added value by variable data, a lot of these things that makes the product more valuable, and therefore you can actually pay a higher price?
I'm a big believer that educating everyone in the supply chain is a really great idea, from the people who create content to the publishers who publish the content. I mean, that includes, direct mail content, commercial posters, it's all content, right? Big believer that educating everybody is a good idea. However, I think that also how we do the analysis makes a difference. So I think it was Annette Friscott made the point that, you can print the next big bestseller on an analog press, and if you chip 60% of it, I've heard as much as 80% of it, when it doesn't sell, you've destroyed your margins even on what you've already 100%. Sold. I get all of that.
And you probably calculated based on 100% sales, right?
Well,
sometimes at least, right?
There are definitely algorithms that they use. I think that for a long time, many of the people at that end of the supply chain, the content creation and publication part, believed that it wasn't possible to get the quality that they expected. But I think we didn't educate them well enough about what a consumer finds acceptable. I promise you that my mother couldn't tell you the difference between a digitally printed book and an offset printed book. She just liked the book, she liked the content. And I think that one of the things that, as we educate more and more, our friends at that end of the supply chain, I think they start to realize that warehousing, hundreds and hundreds of books does not make a lot of sense. But not just books. brochures.
It will go
all
that
the
way
things,
where everything is
right?
basically down
Think
to
about
one, right?
car dealership brochures often get printed in December
Yeah.
for use for 12 months.
Yeah, yeah.
Where do you think they're sitting? They're sitting in a warehouse. Oops, gee, the car got recalled. Oops, gee, we introduced a new feature. What happens? It all goes into the waste. So I think we can all be smarter at all the ends of the supply chain, but we still have a lot of education to do.
Thank you for your input.
Always.
See you.